Football. As always, I'm your host, Kevin Washington. And as always, I'm here with the man behind the operation himself, Nick Underhill. Make sure you guys follow Nick on Twitter at Nick_Underhill. You can follow me at Kevin Wash Jr. But make sure you follow the website. A lot of the articles get posted there. So go follow them at NODOT_Football. And the most important thing I can say is you guys need to go to the website and subscribe. NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. As always, the link is in the show notes. Subscribe, support, pick a tier that works for you. Training camp is on the uprise. Nick has written more articles this week than he's written in a while, and he's been writing a lot previously, so that lets you know how much more he's been writing this week. So there's no time better than the present to join. This week he wrote, Peyton and Loomis had a couple of press conferences, so he wrote about those. The popular rundown article that Nick is really, he has a high bar set there, so everyone always looks forward to that. He wrote about the new linebackers that they have, Cam Jordan, and how the Saints are basically the deal that they got when they signed him, and Drew Brees in his deep ball, which we will talk about later in this pod. So just make sure you guys go sign up, support. The content is as good as you can get, and you'll be thankful for it. Nick, what's up, man?
13 days until Taysom Jameis won, man.
You ready to overreact?
Oh, I'm been ready to overreact, man. I was ready to overreact on my guy Mo Harris, man. I thought he was going to be the camp darling. He got cut this week, so I mean it's tough for those guys, and I think that was like the first thing that happened where I was like, all right,
you get the flowers I sent you when he got cut.
But like that was like the first time where it was kind of like, all right, this year's going to be different. Like he got cut, Hogan got cut, Taylor Stallworth got cut. Like a guy like Mo Harris, those are the type of guys that like come in, surprise, and steal a spot.
Yep.
But like in a year where you're losing 10 spots right off top, you have to cut the known commodity to explore Marquez Callaway or see what Emmanuel Butler has in year two or Little Jordan Humphrey. So it's a different time already. I mean, but I'm just ready to see these guys play football, man.
And you made a point that those are guys that they kind of know to some level, right? Some guys are new, maybe some guys not, but they kind of know what they have in those guys. So if they do need to pick up a wide receiver who can block, I don't know, something, number 5 wide receiver, they know Hogan. If they need a 3rd or 4th defensive tackle, they know Stallworth. So they can always go back and get these guys. And I thought that was, when you made that point, I thought it made sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's going to be a huge rush for any of those guys. I mean, 1 or 2 of them might get scooped up out there, but it's a 5-day entry period just to bring somebody into your camp.
That's a good
so
point.
you aren't taking flyers at this point. You specifically saw the Saints sign Maurice Harris, and you were like, "Damn, I wanted him on my team." He gets cut, and you go get him. And maybe for someone like him that exists, but I doubt it. Like none of these guys are really, moving the needle that much. They're just good guys to have in your camp. And if somebody gets hurt, like Stallworth is still a very good professional football player. Like he should be in your camp. He should be setting a bar for Malcolm Roach. Malcolm Roach should have to beat him out to get on the team.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be, okay, you beat out Stallworth already. Like that, it just shouldn't happen like that. But
different.
Look, it's 2020, and this is just the way it is.
Yeah, I do. And I think that's valid. And I also think it kind of speaks to the depth of the team, because in previous years, Stallworth, he's probably your number 3 defensive tackle, right? You're looking at, maybe Harris is someone who could maybe compete for the 3rd spot. And Hogan, just basically the team has such depth now that I feel like, players in the past where you feel like they would have definitely been on a team, high chance of making a roster when they had the year with like 4 undrafted free agent defensive linemen. Now it's just a little bit different ball game. And I thought, Taylor Stallworth, his rookie year, I thought he was a really good player in the limited role that he was in. So it just goes to show you that, this team is, the roster has talent, and they can afford to, move off guys like that and not miss a beat.
Yeah, I mean, look, people were really mad about like the trade they made to get Troutman and everything. Like, look at the guys that had to cut to get the rookies and the UDFAs they wanted on the team. Like, who else are you cutting them for those draft picks? So I think the value there was smart. Like the move they made, you target a guy, you're gonna have limited rot. They didn't know it was going to be limited at the time, but like even so, the team was that deep to the point where like there really weren't that many roster spots. You're seeing that right now, so that speaks to the point you just made. And I mean,
and even when they drafted Troutman, they said, "Hey, this is a short offseason. Like this is a little bit different offseason." They said, explicitly that they're going to approach it differently. And I think I think it's making more sense as the more you look at it. Because as you said, like, what are you doing with your 6th-round draft pick this year, right? I mean, yeah, you can keep on the roster for a roster spot, but you kind of looking to get guys going as quickly as possible. So if you target some guys who you feel like are smart, you did your pre-draft stuff on them, you feel like they can come in and learn, the grade checks out, get them and move on, right? Add them to already arguably the number 1 roster in the NFL. So if you just feel like you need to add a couple of guys, that'll be the best route. Then I think the offseason plan is played out pretty well for him. Even with them adding the linebacker, and you guys, Nick wrote about this on the site this week. Make sure you go check it out. Just the whole linebacker situation. You got Davis, who's a guarantee. You got Anzalone hurt, Alonzo hurt. They just signed the kid from Philadelphia, Bradham. They got a rookie, Ellis, that they had from last year. Craig Robinson always in the mix. So he just kind of broke down. Zach Bond, he's a linebacker. So make sure you guys go read that article. He just kind of navigating all the different names there and some of the things they can do, and some of the results of maybe having guys injured versus this year maybe having a little bit more depth. So make sure you guys check that out. It's a good article. Check it out.
The wild thing, going back to the roster size, like with 53 on the team, practice squad 16, you assume 4, 5, 6 injuries during camp. It happens every year. There's 4, 5, 6 guys that get hurt, go on IR, whatever.
Right.
Like you're making like 5 cuts, really. Like, you got to cut everybody and get them through your practice squad. But like you're identifying your team, and it's basically like you're cutting 5 guys. Like you got to pick probably 8 guys, 3, assuming a couple might get claimed somewhere.
You're right. Yeah.
So basically you're going into camp with the guys that you have now, and like those guys are, if nobody claims anybody, like you're cutting 5. If some people get claimed, like the guys you have now are your team.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
It's crazy to think about. I mean, it's the cut's like almost already, like if you made it through, you have a pretty good chance of being on an NFL team this year.
Yeah, because just harking back to the point you made earlier, it takes 5 days to get you in the building. Right? You just can't come in and start practicing the next day after you pass your physical. Right? You got to pass a test, pass another test, miss a couple of days, pass a test. Then you can start to know where your locker room is. So, yeah, it's totally different. And this feels like one of those years where the team, remember Belichick, he did something last year. I forget exactly what it was, but he was able to break a rule legally, and they changed the rule because he did it. I forget exactly what it was, but he was able to like use more time on the clock than he normally would have.
It got done to him. It got done to him. So
I thought he did it to someone else.
No, Vrabel just kept running the clock out on him. Like I think Bill had done it before, like years previously, but then like Vrabel did it back to him, and like there was just nothing he can do, and Bill was like irate on the sideline and just like throwing a hissy fit. Yeah.
And
it's like,
but they changed the rule or something because of it, right? Some rule got changed or something happened. So this is one of those years where I feel like the coach who is going to outsmart the other coach, who's going to be more prepared, who's going to have a better game plan, which is a good segue into one of the topics is, for instance, the bubble that they have going on with the team at the hotel, right? Like if you have a group of guys and you have a limited amount of time on the field already based on we're not calling it a training camp, as Sean Payton says, then you don't want a situation where a guy can catch COVID or just do something silly and have to, even if you don't catch it, if you're somewhere where you're kind of exposed, then they're probably going to quarantine you for a little bit. And then you lose time on the field, and that kind of takes away from what you're trying to do. So speak a little bit about like them creating a bubble in the hotel. I think it's in the French Quarter, just to kind of give themselves some type of, edge in an already crazy situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the thing that every team should have did. And I don't know if we ever talked about like what we would have done on the podcast. I know we talked about it like between us at some point, and like something similar to this, I think, came up where we were like, every team should have a hotel bubble. They go straight on a bus. They go to the bus to the plane. There's no flight crew. Right. You keep the pilot locked in the cockpit. You have a bus driver that travels with you everywhere. Like those people go with you. You're not exposed to anybody else. And like if every team did that, you could have these like bubbles. The NFL is obviously not doing that. You can't
like
force
a traveling bubble or something, right?
Right. I mean, it's like the next best option, right? I mean, like I mean, the Saints are trying to do it. I mean, you can't mandate it. It's technically not a bubble. It's like a sequester spot or whatever. Like it's a choice. Like you can choose to stay at a hotel instead of staying at your house. Peter King, I think, said they have like 150 of like 100
tier 1, tier 2 employees, I think.
Yeah, plus all the players, whatever it is. It was like 30 people weren't there out of the whole group. So I mean, that's smart. And you got to think that like probably the people that aren't there like have young kids, they got families, so they're probably making responsible choices at home, and that's why they're not there.
Already. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, look, I think that gives them the best shot to get through this. And honestly, I would like it if they carried this through the whole season. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know if you can ask people to do it.
Yeah, it's gonna
But
be tough. Yeah, it'll be
yeah,
tough. But some version of it would be nice, though. Maybe like
it is extremely expensive too. But I
yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
the variables you take out though, like as many variables as you can eliminate. And
Yeah.
I know like some guys are like still going out like shopping and stuff for themselves. Like, use Instacart, please. Like, please
Man.
use Instacart.
It's so crazy.
I need a job. Like, use Instacart. You know what I'm
wear
saying?
a
Like,
hazmat suit if you got to like
right,
go and check the mail.
man.
Yeah. We got to get these podcasts off Saints players, NFL players around the league. So
Yeah,
do us a favor, man. We
man,
got to get these takes off.
Did you see? I think it was on the Shade Room or whatever it was. Like somebody had video of like and it was a supposed NFL player. They never identified him, so someone might have just like told the reporter they were an NFL player. But like, there was this wild party in California supposedly with an NFL player, and there was like people getting busted, and there was like hundreds of people there, and it's just like,
Man,
this can't be
really? I didn't
happening.
know. I didn't see that. See, but that's the thing about it. You have so like, man, it's so many personalities. It's so many like I mean, look, man, let's just be real, right? These guys have been quarantined, hopefully, or everybody in the nation, for the most part, has done some version of a quarantine. Some people for longer. My wife is taking it mega serious. My neighbors think it's fake, right? And they just wear a mask because they get right. But everyone has done something differently, right? And so for those guys to, have gone through that, and now they're in an NFL bubble. Like some people just can't handle that mentally. Like I got a buddy who says, like, man, I'm losing my mind. I'm like, you got food, you got water. I was like, well, keep losing it, right? And so, but everybody's not built like that. So I can see situations where guys during the course of the season are just like, man, I'm fed up. I'm about to hit the bar. I'm 21. I got a little money. And something happens, and you got the Miami Marlins on hand or something. So it's so many different guys. There's so many different factors, and the key is just try to limit it, because I think it's you're going to have cases, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that outside of not being able to go to movies, like my life's the same, so it's not that bad. So like, people are going crazy. I understand it. Like I can't relate to it. So like, it's hard for me. Like I try not to judge anybody on what they do, but like,
Right.
the thing is too is like, whether your neighbor thinks it's fake or not, if he's in the NFL, the only thing that matters is if he's positive or negative, and he's positive, there aren't games. So like, it doesn't matter. Like you just got to take it seriously at this point. If you want to make if you're making $400,000, that's still a lot of money. Like you need to take that seriously. And I think the guys on the Saints will. Like I think that they have a good group of players. I think they have the right leadership. I think that they want to buy into their leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Sean's precautions very early on, I think being the guy that said before anybody told him, hey, we're shutting it down, take care of yourself, take care of your family, do what you got to do. I think all that like helps build to the point where like when you got to say, okay, look, we're going to this hotel, you ain't going out. Like guys are going to buy him because like the coach has been there from the beginning, setting the right tone.
He earned some GP with that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember
like being the guy that does a rap battle, like all that stuff matters. Like I think that stuff matters. Like it does. Yeah, like I would want to buy into. I'd be like, look, my boss is cool. Like, all right, I'll do what I want to. What he needs.
I freestyle against him and whatever. Yeah, that's for real though. And hey, guys, it's on the site. Go check that out. It's a little piece on there about the little rap battle that they can have at the Saints facility. So go check that on the website. But yeah, I think all of that. Specifically him saying, hey, look, forget football, right? Just stay in shape. Don't worry about no off-season training activities, anything like that. Scratch all that out. We nipping that in the bud right now. Be ready come August, and take care of your deal. And that ended up being where everyone had to do, and he was kind of first at it. So yeah, that definitely creates a level of trust with the people, in the front office, which it was already a good run organization with a good locker room. And, Teron spoke about, how like part of it is going to be players keeping other players accountable. I don't know if there was something I was about to go to a rave in Yale and you say, hey, Kev, you got a podcast tomorrow. You should not go and you get rid of your voice. Do it on Wednesday, not Tuesday. Right. I mean, just something to have your peers keeping you accountable to not make a bad decision. I think that's going to probably factor into it. And the stronger the locker room, the stronger, things like that can get caught by the guys in there.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's going to be the main thing too, is that everybody rallies around and they have good leaders and all
Right,
that stuff.
right,
So
right.
I think all that stuff, hopefully ends up taking care of itself. And I've said this a few times. I don't know if I said it on here, but I talk too many places, so sometimes I forget where I say my thoughts.
I
So I don't
feel
want to,
cheated.
if I'm repeating myself, but like, look, like if the Saints don't take care of business and they have the talent to win the Super Bowl, then they got guys getting sick. Like the talent only matters 70% this year. It's not everything. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a 30% of it is like, are your guys available to play? And
Mm-hmm.
if you have a bunch of teams messing up and the Arizona Cardinals all of a sudden keep everybody healthy 100% of the time, like that could be the edge that gets them beyond teams that they have no business competing with. But, once you take out, if you take out Drew Brees, Mike Thomas, and you're playing Kyler Murray can beat that team all of a sudden. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
those are the things that are going to matter. And that's going to be the kind of year it is. And
You don't want to be the dude that gave Drew COVID. Like,
right.
You just don't want to be that person.
Man,
You're done.
look, I haven't left my house. Like we're 2 weeks away. I haven't left my house like for any, like I don't even walk in the park anymore. Like I try to
Yeah.
walk around the streets because like I do not want to be like show up. Like if I show up there and I'm positive and then 2 days later a
Yeah.
player has it, even if I'm nowhere near him and it wasn't me, like you're no, nope,
Yeah,
nope,
that's a
nope, nope. Yeah,
bad look,
that
bro.
ain't gonna
That's
be
a
me.
bad look.
So
That's twofold. You got players, other reporters, fans ain't getting news. Like
look,
it's a whole lot of. Yeah, you the worst one, man. Don't mess this up, Underhill.
look, I mean, it's just I think that's everybody though. Like
That's
you
real.
got to
That's
be
real.
very cognizant of what you're doing, being around these people right now.
That's a
And
good
like,
point.
and just the other thing, like on the media thing, like Sean Cancel and everything, that takes away so much uncertainty. Like for me, like we
Yeah.
were waiting for the NFL to give us rules on like what's going on at training camp, who can be there, when's it start,
Right.
you
Right.
go in and do it, and like that uncertainty like is very frustrating. And like you're just sitting there like, hey, what's going on with my life? What am I doing? Like I think Sean wiping everything out for the players, it takes all that out. They aren't sitting there checking Twitter. Hey, do we have to go here? What do I do? It's just no, take care of yourself, put this out of your mind, go forward.
Right. Right.
For him to
Right.
have the foresight to know it was going to just be, terrible and that it was going to take a while for things to get sorted out to eliminate all that, I think really made things a lot easier for the players. And then it allows them to, you know, to start creating a plan of how to stay in shape, what you got to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just like, well, okay, we're going to be going to OTA soon and you're sitting back waiting and it never happens. Now all of a sudden, like, oh, where do I get these weights? What do I like? Look,
Yeah.
I tried
Yeah.
to get some resistance bands, like rehab. Like I got a knee that messes with me, and I was trying to do some like exercise. Like you couldn't even buy them because like everybody bought up
Yeah. Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the
I
exercise
tried to buy a
equipment.
squat rack, some free weights.
There's nothing.
Nothing. You go to like one of those offer up sites and you're paying like $1,000 for a 25 pound. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. Yeah,
Let me put some
I'm a
rocks
bounce
in a
back.
milk jug.
Yeah, it was bad, man. It was bad. So, yeah, I think you make a good point there, and it kind of is showing. I think when you look at the team because they haven't had any COVID reserve. I forget the name of the list, but they've checked
Zero.
out pretty much every day, right? And I think organizationally, that's a huge part of it, just how they operate as a team and as a front office. So, I mean, you got to give credit to his management and the team's management of this thus far. Listen, there's a long way to go. We're on step 0 of 1,000, but it's a good start.
Yeah, every day count. Like it's a corny thing to say, but like yeah, every day counts, and every day there's not a positive. That's a
Yeah,
win. It's a huge deal
yeah,
because one
yeah.
leads to 10. So
Yeah, you're not trying to form no type of herd immunity within the locker room. So
right.
that's not cool at all. So yeah, football is coming back. It's a quirky schedule. The guys they didn't. I think the first 4 days, 5 days was just all COVID testing. Then I think around Sunday they started doing some strength and conditioning. So I mean, it's a ramp up and things are just different. Things are just different, man. And so just stick with it. And, I think they'll be in shorts and shells soon enough. And then, transitioning. I think the first day of pass is is it the 17th or something like that? I think that's the first day that they'll be in pads. So still got it's the 4th. So yeah, still got a few days before things get going. But, listen, at this point, we'll take anything we got, and watch Zion. We got basketball to hold us over until training camp gets going really good. So
We got short bursts.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing on the Zion joke?
Oh man, no. Listen. So no. Because I'm a little sensitive. I had an argument with my boys about this. So I'm a little triggered about it. So you said it, I was like, I'm gonna leave it alone. But my man, listen, man. My man was looking really jacked in that one picture, and then I saw him on the court, and I was like, "Wait,
bro, that picture made me write a story about like what he could do on a football field." And then I see him, I'm like,
that's right."
that's Andrews Pete. Like, he's a guard. Like I was talking about, like this dude's a guard.
Yeah, so your little short burst, I was like, man, you know what? He's trying to start something. Like, we'll argue for like.
Like I was like, oh, he'd be a tight end, a DT, like a.
You definitely got DT, right?
He's a guard. Well, maybe not, man. He's looking like a guard right now. Like he's got that, like he's squatty. Like he has the lower anchor.
Bro, but like I thought he was. Listen, he was looking a little slimmer on that little Pelican promo picture.
Yo, speaking of Pete, I hear he's in great shape. Like honestly, like no joke.
That's a big deal.
In good shape, yeah.
I've never heard. I mean,
like visually, yeah. Visually,
I've never heard that about Pete. Like,
yeah, I mean, look, I got to see it. Like, it's there's like a relativity here. Like,
right. He's not coming out in there like Aaron Donald or nothing.
I mean, I don't think so. But like when someone says he's in good shape, I mean that's a thing. That's a thing.
Yeah, he's either in good shape or he's in good shape for Andrews Pete.
Yeah,
we'll figure out.
Either one's good. One's good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, man, he's probably been living that down. He got drafted in 2014, I think it was. Anyway, whenever it was, like he's been living that.
It was 15, I think.
Okay, yeah, he's been dealing with being in shape and not so much. I think that stigma kind of maybe stuck with him. So if he can.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't run the field the first camp. So
man, he was dying that first training camp. Man, it was a bad deal.
And they were in West Virginia too. Like it wasn't like New Orleans camp.
Yeah. That's right. If you listen, yeah. So shout out to Pete for being in shape.
Speaking of quarantine, and my God, like we were quarantined for 3 summers.
Oh man, you know what?
Just go back.
Y'all invented the bubble.
The original bubble.
Yeah, the first bubble. Yo, if they went back to West Virginia, fans would have went loco, man. It would have been crazy. Like, nah.
I don't even want to get my jokes off because, like, every time I talk bad about that place, like, there'll be people that are like, that's not, like, really out. You shouldn't portray us like that. But, like, I don't know. Like, you kind of only would have to keep, like, maybe 3 restaurants, like, clean and everyone could just go out. Like,
just eating the same.
Yeah, I mean, you test, like, 12 staff members, then you're good. Like, everybody can just go everywhere.
Everybody's straight. Yeah, it's not, like, a lot going on out there. Yeah, like you don't even have to wear a mask. Like it's like I know where you've been all day. Which is crazy. Like I see the NBA games and I'm thinking like, man, why are people wearing? It was weird. Like they wearing masks, but they're in I don't know. But I guess it's better safe than sorry. But yeah, it's a little weird. But all right, we're gonna.
I guess if it takes like a day or 2 to show up, like you still gotta.
That's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. And I mean, you want to have respect for like I know like Gentry wears his and. Like I went to like I had to go in someone's like house recently and straight up mask, didn't touch nothing. But like they was like, oh, you gotta wear a mask. And I'm like, bro, I got a 6-year-old mother-in-law. I'm wearing a mask. Like, shut up.
Right. Yeah. The thing I don't get is like if they're doing a press conference, everybody's like 6 feet away. Like you can take it off.
You can take it off.
Yeah, you can hang that thing around the chin.
We got to get the ventilation game up, man. That's what I'm trying to tell people, man. Just open the door, blow. Anyway, we'll see. I'm not a scientist. Let me stop. But hey, I got a better topic for you. Listen, who got a better arm, Drew Brees or Pat Mahomes?
I mean, come on.
Who can throw the ball further, Drew Brees or my homeboy or Ferrari?
I mean, it's definitely Mahomes.
Yeah, obviously. So, what's your take on? Just, I'm gonna give you the lead on this one because you wrote about it.
So, on him trying to throw 60 yards down the field?
Yeah, I mean, apparently not trying. Apparently
succeeded. I mean, look, we saw the video. Like, it gave credence to kind of, we were making jokes about like the Instagram videos, but like it gives credence to what you're seeing in those things that he's actually throwing the ball that far, and that there is something to it. And look, like I was joking about him throwing smoke. Like there was some velocity on those passes, and I think that it is visibly different from what we saw out of him last year. I think you can see on those deeper passes. That there's a little more on it. And Look, I mean, if he can get those, I do think it's a big deal, and
it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal.
There's a weird hidden benefit to this offseason in that so many passes that Drew would have thrown aren't going to be thrown.
Right.
I think him being 41, you gotta maintain that. So if he can throw the ball 50, 60 yards, I don't think he's going to hit a 60-yard pass in the game, but if he's throwing 60 yards on air, like maybe there's a chance that, those 35 to 40-yard passes that, Ted Ginn would used to have to come back for and, save them on. Maybe those are actually hitting somebody in stride now. So that would make a significant difference. But look, Drew's not throwing OTAs. How many passes is that? It's a lot. It's a lot of passes.
Yeah.
It's 9 practices. Yeah. Mini camp. There's 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
July 27th to August 17th. What's that? That's 20 days, 21 days more of practice, not throwing passes. So, I don't really know the number, but probably I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of passes.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's
after practice, post work with guys, a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of balls.
Routes on air before one-on-one drills, all that stuff. It's probably 1,000 passes, like you say. I think that's probably, it might be more, it might be less, but it's a lot. It's a significant number. It's less work on them. So now what is there's 14 days of practice, I think.
Yes, it's not a lot. It's not a lot at all.
So you get through that. You go to the season, he's not throwing on Wednesday, you dial him back on Thursday. The path to keeping him fresh, and it takes away the decision of okay, if we rest Drew during camp, are we getting the work we need? They took all that calculation out.
Yeah.
It's taken away. So look, I mean, I think that this season sets up for him to be really, really fresh come playoff time, which matters when you're 41.
Yeah, it's
You'll be 42
interesting
at the end of the year. I mean,
man, that's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy because last year we spoke about how him coming back may have had his arm more alive, for missing that time. And it's you miss 5 games and you win them all and you have a rested arm. That's a benefit. And it feels like maybe this year they kind of maybe through weird circumstances stole a little time, kind of in the same aspect with him not throwing those early footballs. So just, where's your spider senses when you hear 41-year-old quarterback who last couple of years has not really pushed the ball downfield, works on it this offseason, all of a sudden, those balls are traveling a little bit further. How much personally do you buy that? Where do you stand with that?
I know that it's hard for me to answer this I know the house people pretty well. I talk to some of those people, quite frequently. And I know some of the stuff they do, and I know how far on the cutting edge they are, and I know how they're willing to look at anything and everything to create an edge. And look, I mean, they take these guys and they put them in, these machines that, frame by frame down to, milliseconds, breaks down motion, and they can fine tune every small thing. And then you're doing that, and then all of a sudden, you find look, the Jameis video where he was swinging the bat, there's benefit to that, and it's unorthodox, and everybody thinks it's super weird, but it does do things to help with their throwing motion. And now, Drew's doing stuff with the tennis racket,
with a towel or something. Yeah. Whatever that was, I thought it was a towel when I saw it.
All that stuff they do. I mean, look, I'm not that surprised that they might have found a way to add a couple of yards back onto his passes. I do think that the thumb was an issue last year too. So maybe you don't get the full benefit of the freshness. The first 4 games back last year, he had 15 passes, 20 or more yards down the field. And I think he was 4 for 15. And then in the second half of the stretch, it was 70-75% connection rate. So the thumb started getting better as the season went on, but it still wasn't 100%. So I think healthy thumb, rested arm, all that stuff. And then you find some stuff through these other training methods that, you get your rotation going a little bit more, and you're working your core, and it helps you find different ways. You swing a lacrosse racket back and you find a different way to maybe create some torque and some fire in your shoulder and your core muscles.
Right.
And that unlocks, a couple of yards. So, I'm not that surprised by them being able to figure something out, because if there's somebody that's going to figure it out, it's going to be Tom House, the guy that's the
godfather of this throwing thing, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Baseball, football, whatever, right?
like everything they do is so weird. Like that they like it just doesn't surprise me. Like if something comes at it, like they measure guys' brain activity when they throw to help them process information and
Crazy to me.
react to crowd noise, and
Yeah.
they do all this stuff that's science fiction. And if Tom House says Drew found a way to throw the ball 60 yards, okay, like that's okay. Tom took his stuff to the next step. Like that's all
Yeah.
I really think when that happens.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think I'm with you. And I think it really, and it's crazy. I think a lot of it's a lot of different factors that go into it. I mean, clearly they're not going to lie about his ability to throw. And, and
It's on video.
yeah, exactly. Right. You can't fake that. But, he said, he started off, I think it was like 45, 50, and then it ended up getting up to being 60. So the fact of the matter is he can throw a ball 60 yards. Now, it's not on the line, obviously, right? And there's different type of 60-yard balls, right? And so there's a caveat there. If it hangs in the air for long enough for free safety to get over there, then it's a different ball game. But I think it's probably a combination of things. I do think you're going to see more deep balls this year, and maybe deep ball is not the right term for it, but maybe passers that are deeper down the field than they were maybe the last 2 years. I think it's because he has been working on his ability to throw the ball further. He no longer has a broken thumb. You have a receiver who can stretch the field and provide more spacing for your offense. You have a healthy Kamara. You're probably potentially going to have a better O-line with replacing Warford in a version of Pete. You have attrition, just guys, maybe Traquan and Harris gets 1% better this year, right? So, maybe the run game is better and it creates more opportunities to get guys in the box, and you can do something in the pass game. You got more tight ends, and that allows you to scheme things to get, again, more guys in the box, and you can sneak a guy on the route. So I think there's a combination of things that may be coalescing at the same time that's going to give them maybe a little bit more of a vertical passing game than they've had in recent years.
Yeah, look, I mean, the one thing that I really do think that plays into this too is that they're just like we saw Drew underthrow deep balls. Okay, I mean, it was definitely a thing. He threw more of them last year than he has on any other season in the last 5 years, which I think you can probably safely say going back to the beginning, it was probably the highest number ever. I didn't look that far back, but I do think that personnel is a huge factor within that too. Like when you have Mike Thomas getting open that quick, that reliably in short areas on like anybody else, possibly in the league, possibly NFL history, like he's probably the best ever at what he does on 3, 4, 5 routes. And if he's open that quickly on every single one, he's your first read. There's no reason to look at Traquan Smith. Like, I'm sorry, like you don't need to see if he's getting open down the field. Mike just got you 6 or 7. The other thing in this, the laziest analysis I see, and it irritates me every time I see it. Oh, Drew Brees is 41. His arm stat, he only throws the ball 6.7 yards down the field or whatever it is. His average depth to target. Mike Thomas is the greatest 7-yard receiver in NFL history. You can get it to him every single time to the point that he has the greatest season in NFL history. That's not a reflection on Drew's arm. That's a reflection on them being the best 1-2 combination in the NFL. Mike being the greatest at what he does. Drew being wildly accurate and comfortable throwing him the ball. A level of trust. That's not like, oh, Drew's 41, his arm's dead, he can't throw the ball. No, like it's just this thing over here works so much better. You don't need to do anything else. Now that there's some other guys, he'll look off. He'll get the ball to Emmanuel Sanders. It's worth, maybe starting to your right, looking to see what Sanders is doing over here and going back. If this is good, you go here. But like the personnel plays a factor in this. And I cannot stand when it's just like, oh, he threw this, he's done. Like, let's contextualize that just a tad.
It's a lot more to it than that one point. Yeah. And I think to add to that, the deeper you throw the ball downfield, the higher chance you have for turning the ball over, right? I mean, that's, kind of NFL common sense or whatnot. So with the team that they've had, you've had a really good defense those years where you've not thrown the ball, and Drew's interceptions, those numbers have went down. So, you're protecting the ball, right? There's no need to take these chances. You got a defense that can keep you in the game. You got an offense that can march down the field for 10, 12, 13-yard drives consistently for the most part, right? There's lapses, obviously, but yeah, I think it's not just, I mean, listen, the arm hasn't been the same. We know that, but you can't just say it's that one thing.
Right.
Right. Because like you said, Mike is getting open instantly. I was looking, I mean, Baldy posted one of those, I guess he's doing his videos again, and he posted like him turning this receiver around. Like he ran 5 yards and the receiver was 7 yards away from him. And the receiver basically was facing the end zone and Mike was, he was on the out route. And how do you not throw the ball there? It's ridiculous. Who cares about if the ball is going 7 or 17 yards down the field when you're getting free pitch and catch plays like that? So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's a lazy talking point. And people got to talk about something, I guess. But I do think that
was that play against San Fran?
That was against Tampa. Was Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Tampa. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just a ridiculous. I was like, man, they got to take that cornerback to the locker room. Like, I'd have got a hangnail or something after that play. Yeah, my hammy started acting up on the press.
He had like 4 or 5 of those last year where he just turned. He had guys backwards. Like it was unbelievable. Yeah. And yeah, yep. I mean, look, obviously the arm isn't what it was. Like we've seen the underthrown passes.
Philly 2017 first that playoff game, right? The Ted Ginn pass.
Yeah. But look, but when Ted was going good though, like they were still trying to take those shots down the field and they were there. And then like Ted started, clearly falling off a little bit.
Right.
And those deep attempts went away. And then last year they're non-existent. And like there's a reason for that. But like if you have that reliable option, they're gonna hit it because it helps everything else work out. But yeah, that one number, it's just like you gotta be like, come on. Like, yeah, they went down, but like explain a little bit why, like
the context.
If they had a different receiver other than Mike Thomas, like that number is probably a couple yards. It's just this one thing works so well and he's open so fast, and that's not a commentary saying Mike can't get open deeper down the field. It's just like it happens so incredibly quick. Drew sees them so fast, they hit it. Like why would you not hit that as often as possible if it's there? Like the point is to get 10 yards, and if you're guaranteed 6 or 7 on every play, like
why not?
Yeah,
and if you want to take it another step further than we've already taken it, the NFL as a whole, that's not just a Drew Brees thing, right? The NFL has kind of moved to more quick game plays too.
Yeah,
right?
Believe it or not, the key is to get yards and not turn the ball over and not waste downs. Like,
Yep.
What are we talking about?
Crazy talking points, man. But that's why we're here. We're here to crush them. Let's talk pass rush.
Like these people, it's like baseball people are like walks are bad. No, like you didn't get an out, you got a base. Like, how is that bad? Like, we're in like 1990s baseball with some of these talking points. Like, oh, they don't get enough yards on their play. Well, they get 3 of those for every 20. They get 6 of those for every 20-yard pass that this other guy gets. So, like, what's better? I'll take 42 yards.
Right.
6 for 642. Like, that's better than 1 for 127. Or 1 for 527 or whatever it is. I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't mean either. But
big plays are cool though. They definitely are. But like,
you take them when you get them. I mean, listen. Drew even said that. He's like, I'll take the big plays too, but we can do it either way. We can march down the field methodically, or obviously we're looking to maybe increase the explosive plays. Right? Is that in the pass game? It's to play over 20 yards. Is explosive, or is it 15? I forget which one it is, but I think it's 20. But yeah, look it. At the end of the day, the offense will benefit the offense in a lot of ways if that can happen. But if it doesn't, and you're still the number 4 to 6 ranked offense in the NFL, you can do a lot worse.
Right.
You still got Mike Thomas, you still got Alvin Kamara, you still got Emmanuel Sanders, and you still got Drew Brees with a hell of an O-line. So, like I said, people got to talk about something. And if it's better than that than him being like, oh, Drew Brees is washed up, right? It's just, oh, he got a weak arm. Like, okay, well, good luck with that. So,
and it's not even like where they have an issue like needing to score quick. Like I feel like they've done pretty good getting down the field when it's amazing how open everybody seems when they're like in their 2-minute offense. It's like, why aren't you covering like these people? Like, oh, you're gonna play prevent against the Saints and they're just gonna go down the field and
pitch and catch.
Yeah. So I don't know, like if you're a bad team and you need to score quick all the time, like the deep ball probably becomes a bigger issue. Like the 2015 Saints, like not being able to throw the ball to Brandon Cooks, like that's probably a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
but when you have a good team, I mean, it'll be good if it comes back. It's just an overblown talking point with the 6.7 or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, national media, man. Like I said, I got to talk about something. That's mostly who it is. Well, at least from what I've seen. But people are not actually breaking down like a lot of Saints film and saying, here's why it's happening. It's just like, oh, here's a stat that I found on analytics website B, talking point. Let's go on TV and break this down a little bit without any film in sight.
All you got to do is look at Mike Thomas's catch line.
Yeah, no NFL, no NFL replay subscription in sight. Nobody in the panel. But yeah, anyway. So moving on, we're not gonna hamper on that. So finish off. Let's talk pass rush. I'm just gonna get to it. Do you think the Saints need to add another pass rusher? Do you think they need to?
Yeah, so need is the word there. I don't know. Like, I think you can be okay with what you got, especially if everybody's healthy. I think you're okay. Mm-hmm. Like, should there be a desire there? Yeah, I think there should be probably a desire there. I think they could definitely. You can always be better.
How does Zach Bond factor into that with you? I'm just cutting you off. Does he have it? Does he factor into that anyway? I forget him. That's why I ask. I always forget about him.
Well, see, I don't put him in there because I don't know how they're going to use him at this point. So it's hard for me. Like, they're talking linebacker. I think he's going to be involved to some degree. Mm-hmm. I think if he struggles at linebacker, that's an easy way to get him involved. So, maybe he is another option. But, I got to see how that translates to the league. And if it works out for him, he's a tweener. So he's not a prototype, I think, at either spot. But look, I mean, there's definitely room. Like, if Trey Hendrickson's your third guy, like, he's solid enough. He can get the job done. Like, there's worse options if that's the barrier, but like, you can definitely do better. And if you could, I don't see like why you wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, and no, shout out to Trey. I mean, but like, he's. If he's your starting defensive end, you're looking for the next guy, right?
But, well, look, I mean, that's the guy that, when everyone says they shouldn't have traded for Davenport, those are the type of pass rushers you end up with. And look, they get some pressure and they'll show up, but like, that's not who you want starting every game. Like, they're a fine reserve, but like, if you can upgrade that in a season where things are kind of weird, someone needs to come in, get a 1-year deal, get some snaps, hit the market next year at a more normal-ish year, when the market's flowing a little better, when the top guy, like, say, Clowney held up the market for everybody. So if you're like Everson Griffin, like, you kind of got a raw deal at this point, and you didn't have the market you wanted. But like, I don't even know who's available after them. But like, if there is an option, I don't see why you wouldn't look at it. I think, look, I mean, there were 999 defensive plays last year, times that by 2, 1998 total plays. Cam, look, they've been trying to get his snaps down like the last 2 years. He was 90 every year of his career. Last year, I think it was like 86. This year it was like 83.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. His production went up. He had more pressures than ever, more sacks than ever. Like, so him staying fresh, the quality of snap has increased.
With injuries, by the way, but yeah.
Let's say, like, you take that down to 80%. That's 799 snaps. Davenport, let's be generous. 70%. Never been close to that, but let's say he stays healthy, he plays 70%. That leaves about 500 total snaps for other guys to play.
Yep.
If you can bring in a good player, and look, if you can bring in a good player and he's like a really good player, you can
more power to you.
Yeah, you could even maybe take another 5% from Cam, or a little bit from Davenport, or now you're looking at your NASCAR package. Someone's
I was about to say, you got all three on the field at the same time, and now you got a defensive end against a guard in space.
Like, you can get that guy 600 snaps easy, like maybe even more, and keep the other guys where they're at, just depending on, your configuration, what you're doing on third down. I don't, if he's a bigger body guy, you could put him, out there and rush. Davenport is an outside linebacker on some plays. That's like another way to get him. Like, there's a lot of different things you could do if you have that player. So I think they're okay. Like, I'm not sounding an alarm or freaking out saying, hey, they need to go get somebody. But if an opportunity presents itself, it would be extremely foolish not to explore that to the fullest possibility.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm looking up Trey Hendrickson's defensive snaps right now, and I just found that he played 456 defensive snaps. So it's just slide it right in. You said 500, 450. Give or take a percent or two, and there it is, right? So the numbers line right up. So I'm of the belief that I definitely think they should explore, looking to add another pass rusher. One, because Trey Hendrickson is your number 3 defensive end. You have Carl Ganderson, or Grander. I forget if it's A or G. Granderson. Okay, Carl Granderson. But, that's a developmental guy that you hope can turn into something. You can't put a lot of, faith into that guy. Mario Edwards is a tweener, right? You don't want him as your edge rusher. So I think that, kind of like number 3 cornerback, where you can see a position, you can see a spot where that's a spot, that's a position that they can look to upgrade. Now, it's a depth position. Third pass rush is kind of depth, but it's kind of not, because you're in a lot of nickel. But, you still have 2 kind of bookend guys. But, if you add another player, I think, you brought this up to me. I think it was maybe last week. And, I don't know if I mentioned it on the pod, but Davenport is a guy who seems to have the skill set that he could move, that you can move him around like inside or outside, if you needed to. Now, Cam, he seems like one of those players, but he's just always been better from the edge. Keep him there. That's where he's good. But I think Davenport is one of those guys where, I can see him doing a lot of damage to some guards, right? So, yeah, and Clowney's, he's one of those guys who, he's not a traditional 4-3 edge pass rusher. He's one of those guys that, you can put him, somewhere you can have him do a T stunt or ET stunt with a tackle, kind of get him aside against some guards, move around the scheme, kind of create some matchup advantages for him. He's not a guy that's going to go out and, dominate your offense. I mean, he has at times, right? But typically how he's been using, based on just like his production and his tape, I guess, he's someone that you kind of want to use as a movable chess piece and a scheme guy, which that's what I think the Saints could use. So I think if they can add one of those 2 guys, I think it makes sense. Now, I think the salary cap situation is a little weird. Lower cap next year. Saints already got, I don't know how much money put toward the books next year. It's a lot. So I do think that's something they got to navigate. But if they feel like they can get that guy, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. They can get somebody good at the right price. Yeah, absolutely. Like again, needs the weird word here. Like need is overblown, but like there should be
really nice to have. Yeah, want. Yeah, if you go, I like want better than nice to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things I want. Like I want a new car, but like I don't need a new car. I'm not gonna get. But like if somebody shows up with the the new car at a super discounted price, like all right, I'll think about it, but I'm not gonna pay full price for it. But like
them Illmatic socks, you're like, I don't need these, but you just.
Hey man, well no, I needed those. That's a little bit different. I had to have those. But I'm saying like I don't know, like if you should be thirsting, like to the point where you're pursuing, but you let them know, hey, I'm here. Like you want to give me this? It's cool. Come, like I'll pay this for you. You want to be here? That's cool. Like I'll do that. But go play your market. If it don't work, give us a call. Like that's how they should be playing it. And I think that is how they're playing it. I think that players, there's certain players are very aware that if they want to play for the Saints, they can do so at a certain dollar amount.
Yeah. And listen, if you want to come and raise your stock for a year, I mean, get some good coaching, come on through. It'll make the games way more fun to watch defensively, and I'm all for that. So, I do think that, just seeing that they're set with the guys that they have, I think that's a little bit of a reach. It's not an emergency if they don't add anyone, but just to say like the guys they have in house are good enough. There's absolutely zero need for an additional pass rusher. I think, I think I challenge that. So, guys, listen, football is back. And we're excited. And if you want to get best coverage, just go to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. If you don't want to type it in your browser, guess what? You can click the show notes, and there'll be a link in there that you can click and subscribe. Pick a tier, pick the one that best works for you. Guarantee you're going to be happy with what you see. So we'll be back next week. The longer that this bubble football COVID situation goes on, the closer we'll get to guys being in shells and guys being in pads. And we'll have like some real like hot takes for you guys to talk about. Nick's going to overreact to pretty much everything, and I'm gonna be here for it. So make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys go to the website. Pick a tier that best works for you. Make sure you follow Nick on Twitter at Nick_Underhill. Make sure you follow the NewOrleans.Football Twitter account, NODOT Football. With that said, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. We out.